devotees. So here we go. We're continuing chapter 3 of Canto 11, and today we're going to discuss 2 verses, 19 and 20. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And I'm going to share the screen so that we can all see the verses. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm assuming we can see this verse. Yes. Okay, thank you. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim yasam tato jayamudirayet nashta prayesa bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Okay, so we have here Srimad Bhagavatam 11.3.19. Nityartidena vitena durlabhenatma mrityuna grihapatyapta pashubi kapriti sadhitaischalai. Synonyms: Nitya, constantly; Artidena, giving pain; Vitena, with wealth; Durlabhena, hard to acquire; Atma Mrityuna, death for the self; Griha, with one's home; Apatya, children; Apta, relatives; Pashubhi, and domestic animals; Ka, what; Priti, happiness; Sadhita, which are gained by that wealth; and Chalai, unsteady. Translation: wealth is a perpetual source of distress. It is most difficult to acquire, and it is virtual death for the soul. What satisfaction does one actually gain from his wealth? Similarly, how can one gain ultimate or permanent happiness from one's so-called home, children, relatives, and domestic animals, which are all maintained by one's hard-earned money? 11.3.20. Evam loka param vidyam nashvaram karma nirmitam satulyattishadham tangshang yattamandalavartinam. Botched that a little bit, sorry. Synonyms: Evam, in this way; Lokam, the world; Param, next, after this life; Vidyat, one should understand as; Nashvaram, impermanent; Karma nirmitam, created from fruitive work; Satulya, characterized by the rivalry of equals; Atishaya, and superiors; Dangsham, and by ruination; Yata, as; Mandalavartinam, the rivalries of minor rulers. Translation: one cannot find permanent happiness even on the heavenly planets, which one can attain in the next life by ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices. Even in material heaven, the living entity is disturbed by rivalry with his equals and envy of those superior to him. And since one's residence in heaven is finished with the exhaustion of pious fruitive activities, the denizens of heaven are afflicted by fear, anticipating the destruction of their heavenly life. Thus they resemble kings who, though enviously admired by ordinary citizens, are constantly harassed by enemy kings and who therefore never attain actual happiness. Okay, so this is a sizable purport. Let's offer pranams before we get into this purport. Om Jnana Timidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshantarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so purport. Srila Sridhar Swami has quoted the following text from the Chandyoga Upanishad. Tadyatena karmachito lokakshiyate evam evamutra punyachito lokakshayate. One's present status of material pleasure, the result of one's previous work, will eventually be vanquished by time. Similarly, although by executing pious activities one will be elevated to a higher status in the next life, that future situation will also be vanquished. The basis of material enjoyment is the particular body one has acquired. The material body is karma chitta, the accumulated result of one's previous material activities. If one is awarded a body decorated with beauty, education, popularity, strength, and so on, his standard of material enjoyment is certainly high class. On the other hand, if one is ugly, mentally retarded, crippled, or repulsive to others, there is very little hope for his material happiness. In both cases, however, the situation is flickering and temporary. One who has acquired an attractive body should not rejoice, since death will quickly bring an end to such an intoxicating situation. Similarly, one who has taken birth in an obnoxious situation should not lament, since his suffering is also temporary. The beautiful man and the ugly man, the rich and the poor, the educated and the foolish should all endeavor to become Krishna conscious so that they can be elevated to their eternal constitutional situation, which is to reside in the planets beyond this material universe. Originally, every living entity is unimaginably beautiful, intelligent, wealthy, and so strong that his spiritual body lives forever. But we foolishly give up this eternal blissful situation because we are unwilling to meet the condition for eternal life. The condition is that one should be a lover of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Although love of Krishna is the most exquisite ecstasy, surpassing by millions of times the most intense pleasure of the material universe, we foolishly break off our loving affair with the Supreme Lord and artificially try to become independent enjoyers of the material atmosphere of self-delusion and false pride. Even if one reaches the exalted heavenly planets of this universe, he will be afflicted by various types of suffering. Every conditioned soul in the material world wants to become the greatest person. Therefore, one is constantly harassed by his equals who have a similar desire. This situation is commonly termed the rat race of material existence. Even on the heavenly planets, there is a similar rat race for heavenly distinction. Since some persons inevitably excel our own achievements, our hearts burn with envy upon seeing others enjoying the very rewards we have strived for. And because our whole situation is temporary, we must undergo fear, anxiety, and death, even on the heavenly planets. The example given here is very nice. Minor kings may be enviously admired by ordinary citizens for their wealth, power, and fame, but such kings themselves constantly burn with jealousy, resentment, and fear due to rivalry and threats from other kings. Similarly, modern politicians are constantly harassed by envy and fear. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has pointed out that the conditioned souls, being eager to acquire material happiness and avoid distress, take shelter of sexual relationships and thus surrender to the hard labor of fruitive activities. Those who are enlightened, however, can perceive the ultimate futility of such gross materialistic endeavors. One's so-called wife, home, children, relatives, bank account, and so on are all temporary phantasmagoria. And even while manifest, they can never give real satisfaction to one's senses. To acquire wealth in this world, one is practically forced to become a killer of his own soul. There is no possibility of acquiring pleasure from materialistic activities, since they are performed with temporary senses in the hot pursuit of temporary sense objects. When the conditioned soul achieves his goal, he becomes proud and brags to others as if his achievements were permanent. And when defeated, he is submerged in lamentation. Such a tendency to consider oneself the doer is a sign of weak intelligence, since in fact the living entity is merely desiring within the material body. The body itself is moved by the forces of material nature under the control of God. The relationships of master and servant, father and son, husband and wife entail exchanges of well-wishing and service that give a sense of material gratification, but such ephemeral devotion can never bring about the eternal absolute benefit of the soul. By such temporary gratification, Maya induces the conditioned soul to wander throughout the material world, pursuing the relative rewards of material nature. According to the subtle laws of karma, the living entity achieves happiness and distress. One cannot obtain happiness by force, no matter how strenuously or how long one tries. Therefore, those whose intelligence is uncontaminated should surrender at the lotus feet of Krishna and give up the ludicrous pursuit of permanent material happiness, a pursuit which can be compared to a dog's chasing its tail. Oh, Krishna, please help me understand this. I don't want to be a dog chasing my tail. Okay. There's so much going on here. Hare Krishna. Let's just go back to so going back to this verse about wealth being a source of perpetual source of distress. And so this is saying, so our home, our children, our relatives, our domestic animals, we are having to put a lot of effort into maintaining those things. And they're not going to bring us ultimate happiness. And so, and it also says that they're so difficult to acquire, we're virtually killing ourselves. So now we understand that the soul cannot be killed. So what does this mean? How do we understand this? And what do we do with our home, our children, our relatives, our animals, and all the things that we've come to acquire? And so this is a matter of consciousness. It's not telling us that we have to leave our home and abandon our children and our relatives and not take care of our possessions. That's not what this is saying. It's a matter of consciousness and how we're in relationship with these things, as opposed to, it's not saying no relationship. It's pointing to the right relationship. So if we misunderstand this, our situation seems really dire. This struck me as heavy. Like, there's so much going on. Like, oh no. I certainly don't want to misunderstand this. And I think if we're old enough, we've had the experience of understanding that we think we'll find happiness in this world, and then we end up being disappointed. It's like sometimes there could be some, this is a very small example, but you think some pastry or some sweet or something's going to be really good, and you just really want it, and then by the time you eat it, you're like, oh, that really wasn't as good as I thought it was. And sometimes the material world is like that. It's like, I really need this thing, I really want this thing, I really want to satisfy this desire, and then when you do, it's like, oh, that was kind of not everything I expected it to be. And just with time, if we're blessed, we get to see that there's nothing permanent in this world, and therefore we can't find permanent happiness in things that are not permanent. So we can't find permanent happiness in the temporary. It's about association. If we're associating with something temporary, we're not going to find something permanent in it. We can't find lasting joy in that which doesn't last. We can't find steadiness in that which is unsteady. And everything, especially nowadays, seems so volatile. One day it's there, and then the next day it's completely different. The peace of the world is, one day there's peace, the next day there's war. There's always something going on. Stock markets, you have money saved, and these things can happen. They've been happening across time throughout history. Next thing you know, you have no money. The weather can be volatile, everything's okay, and then, there's some catastrophe. So it's not steady. We can't find steadiness in this world. And so then the question is, what is true wealth? What is really of value? I think it might have been Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, or one of those literature guys, but he said the true value of something is how much life you're willing to exchange for it. So we have our life, we have our life force, our life energy, and we go and we work for money, and then with that money we go and acquire things. And when we look at things, we can see these things used to be money, that money used to be time, and then we can gauge, is this valuable to me? Or when we're going to acquire something, is it really worth my time, of which Prabhupada says you can't buy even a second back, no matter how much money you have, even half a second, you can't buy it back. You can't get extra. We have what we have our quota, and that's it. So one of my favorite songs is this Bhaja Hure Mana. Govinda Das Kaviraj speaks this so beautifully. O mind, just worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda, which makes one fearless. Having attained this rare human birth, cross over this ocean of worldly existence through the association of saintly persons. Both in the day and at night, I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of the heat and cold, the wind and the rain. For a fraction of flickering happiness, I have uselessly served wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youthfulness, sons, and family members? This life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore, you should always serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. It is the desire and great longing of Govinda Das to engage himself in the 9 processes of bhakti, namely hearing the glories of Lord Hari and chanting those glories, constantly remembering him and offering prayers to him, serving the Lord's lotus feet, serving the Supreme Lord as a servant, worshiping him with flowers and incense and so forth, serving him as a friend, and completely offering the Lord's one's very self. So we can see from this that this idea of association and how we associate, in other words, our relationship with things, how it affects us. So he's not saying I'm giving up all these things. He's saying, what is the use of these things if I'm trying to find lasting happiness? And so when we're trying to understand these things, we go to the acharyas, our teachers, and see how did they do it? They didn't give up everything. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, as a matter of fact, had a very large family. There was like 16 people in his household, and he maintained them all. He went to work. He worked for the government. He had a very high position. He didn't give up his responsibilities. The problem is when we try to, one, over-endeavor to get those things, because they're very difficult to acquire, and then we're just giving up our time. And when we think that we're going to extract happiness from these things. And so virtual death of the soul is, what is this saying to us? So for example, one way I was thinking that we can understand this is the question, is it enough to be alive? We know that life is sacred and it's a blessing, like that song was just saying, we've attained this rare human birth. But is it enough to be alive? Or is it something else? If I'm a squirrel, yes, I have life, and therefore there's a soul in a squirrel body. But, and I'm just speculating here that I'm assuming that squirrels aren't really concerned with finding the absolute truth. There's no consciousness, there's no rational understanding of who I am and where I'm going, what is the purpose of my life other than trying to get tree nuts. So that's what the squirrel does. But is it enough to be alive? No, it's what we want is to have consciousness and awareness and understanding of who we are, what we're supposed to be doing, and where we're supposed to be going. So yes, all life is sacred, but this human birth, because it gives us the ability to ask these questions and understand these things, is our greatest possession. Okay, so and I think that this is what it's pointing to when it talks about virtual death for the soul, because if we go into these things and just forget, and then our life becomes just trying to acquire, we forget all of those things, who we are, what we're supposed to be doing, where we're supposed to be going. And then the soul is so far away. It's almost like a death, right? It's not there. So as opposed to, and so this Prabhupada speaks about this a lot, you know, animal life, they're doing the same things we're doing. They're trying to acquire things and get food every day and take care of their homes and their families. So what's the difference? The difference is our consciousness. So what do we truly want? What do we, where are we trying to really go? Remembering that wealth and having things is it's really a strategy for fulfilling our needs. And so what do we really need? What does the soul need? Let's move on here. Okay. And we all want to be happy. We're trying to, because that's our natural position. The problem is that if we're using these things to bring about happiness or to reduce our sufferings, we have, the British say we've lost the plot. I love that. It's just one of my favorite sayings, that you've lost the plot. So in this case, these things of being acquired are relationships, families, children, this and that, and our homes. But again, I think it's important to say that it's not about no relationship. It's about right relationship. It's about being in the right consciousness with these things. This is the most important thing. And so we can see, if we have the propensity, which, you know, we're social beings as humans. We have the propensity to be in relationships, whether it's friends or communities, families, all of these things. They become, instead of us trying to extract some happiness from these temporary things, they become an opportunity to serve. Oh, thank you, Krishna, you've put these people in my care. You've put this house in my care. You've put whatever the thing is, you've put it in my care. And therefore, I'll use it as an opportunity to serve and to praise God and say, this is where it all comes from. I'm so fortunate. And to practice devotional service. Because how can we, this is speaking about love at the highest level. How can we learn to love at the highest level, or to really offer at the highest level, if we don't even know how to be selfless or mature in our everyday relationships? And so it becomes a blessing, a way for us to practice learning, practice and learning devotional service, and really taking myself out of the center and remembering that I'm a servant. A servant of the servant of the servant. And so that actually does satisfy us. When we have that, when it really comes from the heart, to know that I'm here to serve, and that my value is that I can do what's being asked of me in any and every moment, that actually does bring us satisfaction. And everyone can go and try it and see, yeah, actually, I don't need to keep acquiring things. I need to just give love. So it's giving us instructions of how to live in relationship to material things, and with time, which is, again, our most valuable item. And so the prayer, dear Krishna, please let me use this time wisely and in your service so that I can understand. And then we go on to this next verse so that I can understand the value of it and not seeking the value in things that are actually temporary and that are not going to bring me anything. So one cannot find permanent happiness even on the heavenly planets, which one can attain in the next life by ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices. So this, even in the highest position that you can be in, it's still all going to go away. You know, this idea of like the apex predator, where in whatever the environment is, there is that like top of the food chain, like, you know, big dog kind of personality. If you're in the savannah, it's the lion. If you're in the ocean, it's the shark. Or what other, in the jungles, there's different cats that, you know, no one can mess with. There's wolves. Okay, so you have your apex predator, and they have their purpose. They're actually useful because they maintain a balance within their own ecosystem. So it's not, they have their usefulness. They, however, they don't have natural predators, but still there's something, there may not be someone, another animal that's above them, but then you bring in the human, and the human's now threatening them because they're going to take away their environment, their resources, their habitats all get destroyed by humans. Okay, so is the human at the top of the food chain? Maybe. But then we have the suffering that comes from, as Prabhupada calls them, higher authorities, the demigods, the Adi Daivika suffering that comes from things that are much bigger than us. And so, no, even the human is not safe from the devas or whatever they're causing. You know, comes a big storm, comes a wave, your house is like floating off into forgetfulness, and everything is lost in a moment. Okay, so then it seems like being a deva is a good position to be. Maybe we want to go there. But that's not so, because this is what this is telling us, is that might be a good position, but there's still even a higher authority that is above the devas that's going to come and destroy everything that they have. And that's time. Time in the Krishna in the form of time is an even higher authority. And so we don't really stand the chance. We really have to understand these things, because it's only a matter of time. Like literally, it's only a matter of time before everything gets destroyed. So I think sometimes we misunderstand. We, you know, like it says in the Mahabharata, King Yudhisthira saying that the most amazing thing is that we just forget that this body is going to die. We forget that it's temporary, and by extension, we forget that we're permanent, we are forever, but we just start associating with the temporary, and then we think we're temporary, and then we try to attain temporary things as if they're going to bring us all permanent happiness. And so again, we sometimes lose the plot. So I was thinking, sometimes there's some of us, and just check the time here. Okay. There's some of us that we've had a life of instability. Maybe you moved around a lot when you were a kid, or whatever the situation was, never feeling quite stable, never feeling quite at home, or maybe there wasn't things that, or relationships that gave us that stability. And so we can see the gift and the opportunity in that. Like it can remind us that we're not actually meant to, we're not in a stable place. Why am I looking for stability in a place where I'm not going to find it? Where am I going to, why am I looking for that final, everything is okay and I don't have to worry, and there's no more, you know, there's no predators higher. I've got it all, you know. The first world countries, even if we make like the minimum amount of money that we can in whatever country or place that we're in, we're still richer than like 95% of the entire world. We have so much. But it's all temporary. It's not really going to bring us what we have. We can see that there's always more to get. There's always some more anxiety, more worries, more this, more that. And so the association of looking for permanent happiness in that which is permanent. So in this song, Bhaja Hure Mana, he's saying, let me go towards the 9 processes, because bhakti and this relationship with the Lord, with something that's permanent and stable and forever, everlasting, will give us things that are forever and everlasting. We actually get liberation from these things. Things that are acquired by fruitive activities only bring more bondage. And so that's the point. The point is being in right relationship with those things, and also not falsely renouncing, because the reality is we can't renounce something that doesn't belong to us anyway. All of these material things that we have, all of even our own energy, our own abilities, our ability to be in consciousness, it's not ours. It actually comes from Krishna. You can't give up something that's not yours to begin with. You can only be in the right relationship with it, which means take care of it and honor it when it comes, and let it go when it goes. It's not up to me. And sometimes we think that it is. And we're here to remind each other. The Bhagavatam is here to remind us that it's not. There is recently I found this quote, and I thought this is perfect to share. This is by C.S. Lewis, who was a Christian writer, and he had a really beautiful relationship with God. And he said, one who has God and has everything, one who has God and has everything else, has no more than he who has God only. And I just thought this is perfect understanding of our relationship with these things, and what the value of them is. So, okay, let's discuss. Let's see what what we've understood from this. Let's see what's going on here in the chat. Oh no, was the internet okay?
Yeah, thank you, Lila. Doing a diet here. I got to pop off, but just wanted to say thank you so much for class. So much resonated, so well put. And one of the thing you said, that things used to be money and money used to be time. And that's been time has been my meditation this year. Somebody sent me a quote early in the year that says, time is the one thing we spend. We have no idea how much we actually have. And that has been like literally, I'm getting ready to teach my yoga class. That's literally what I've been ending every single class 2025 with. So you really brought it home with everything. And Krishna refers to himself as time 3 different occasions, like each in the Gita, every time showing that, like you said, humans think we got it, demigods think, and now Krishna, and particularly in this energy of time. So thank you for ending my ending my year, almost really bringing out this thing that I've been so deeply meditating on. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Jamuna Jaya. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. I love hearing that. Yeah, that's brilliant. I'm gonna borrow that. We spend it and we don't know how much of it we have, and it's, yeah, I heard from a Vaishnava, he was sharing that the Jewish people, and if anyone here has an understanding of this, please let me know if I'm getting it wrong, that there's a prayer that is meant to be said the day before you leave your body. So the day before you're gonna die, you're meant to pray this prayer. But the thing is that we don't know when that day is, and so to be in prayer every single day, because we don't know when that moment is going to come. And yeah, that's my prayer too. Like, please help me use this time wisely, because the distractions are real, and it's very easy to just waste it and think that I'm going to wake up the next day. And so also going back to praise is waking up every day like, thank you for my life. Thank you for this life, for this moment. And every moment that I can remember Krishna, thank you for helping me remember you in this moment and being grateful for those moments. And so starting to um, I wonder, starting to, as opposed to being distracted by all the other things that can come into the mind, to practice being focused on the gratitude and the praise and remembering. Um, and that will keep us busy. I mean, there's really so much to do to keep us busy. We don't really need to figure out how to do it and what to do. There's so much to do. Um, Yeah, so I think I remember hearing that as a child. If you're bored, you're just not being creative enough. And there's always something, some song, some book, some lecture we can listen to, some conversation on these matters that can be had. And so there's a lot.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for class. Those were really great verses, and you explained them so well. I do have a question about Maya. So I'm acting like I'm gonna I. So why couldn't we just fall down from the Vaikuntha planets from our original home and not be so diluted with Maya? Because it almost seems as if it's like torturing, right? Like we don't know which way's up or down or left or right, and it's like somebody watching us kind of like, up, they're gonna go that up, nope, they think it's that way, instead of just, we're so covered by Maya that it's so tough to find the truth. So why couldn't it just be like, okay, this is what you did, this is why you're here, and this is what you have to do to come up?
Hmm. Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Um, Well, one thing that we can get from hearing what Prabhupada, how he has explained it, is that it's like the ocean. Um, it's just too strong. It's just there's no matter how you can be an Olympic swimmer um, and be the strongest person. There's just no going up against the ocean. It's too big, it's too vast, it's too powerful. And material nature, the gunas, are just too strong. And we have to, so I'm not a great swimmer. And so I just have this body that I just never really learned to be a great swimmer. And so if I go into the ocean, it's going to be a disaster if I'm there, if I go too far out or if I'm there too long. And we have these material bodies that, even in best case scenarios, they're just not equipped to to go up against the gunas that way. Those energies, they're Krishna's energies. They are too strong, too powerful. And so the message that keeps coming through all of the scriptures and the Bhagavatam is telling us that the only way you can't work out enough, you can't take enough swimming lessons to get through the ocean. And so the ocean of the material world, the only way out is by Krishna rescuing us. And so I don't know why it's set up that way, but that's one sort of mechanical way of like, why am I getting like so tossed around, is because they're just so much bigger than us. Um, I don't know. That's a good question. I've also heard from learned Vaishnavas that um, as far as what you said about understanding what we've done to get here and this and that, if we seek uh, honestly and really be introspective and seek our own consciousness, we can find and we can come to understand what brought us here. We can come to understand the impurities in the heart and in the mind and say, oh, yeah, okay, that's how. that's why, I'm suffering this or suffering that. It takes a lot of introspection and a lot of honesty, and sometimes I don't want to see what's in there. And I project it out to others. No, it's their fault. It's this, it's that. But it can be found. Um, and the good news is that even if we don't come to understanding, we just keep doing what we're doing, we'll be purified anyway. So I'm not sure that it's a requisite, a prerequisite that we have to understand. Um, how did I get this dirty? I don't know, just, go and take a shower, that kind of thing. And Prabhupada says, don't worry about why the building is on fire. Don't waste time trying to figure it out. Just get out. Um, yeah, I remember asking the first time I heard that as a response, I was like, but I really, really want to know. Um, yeah, and I think there's a balance too. We have to know what cause, what is it that I need to purify in order to purify it? At the same time, Krishna can just purify based on our desires. So, yeah, maybe purifying that desire. And, Prabhupada said, um, if someone's decided to surrender to Krishna, like all their problems are over. That's it. It's done because it's only a matter of time. And that's a good thing about time, that once we've surrendered, or even if we want to surrender, or even if we want to surrender, Krishna says, you will come to me. He says that. So that's it. Like, game over. It's just a matter of time once we've really have that desire in the heart. And so that's something I can use my time wisely for, to try to feed that desire, rather than all the other things I think I need. Um, yeah, I hope that was okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is a wonderful way to spend our time. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, always grateful to be in your association.
We're grateful for your association, Lila Devi Dasi, in the form of class. My takeaway is that we're using time not knowing how much of time we have left. That's a profound one. So let's use it wisely, like
Yeah,
Lila Devi taught today. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Oh, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Temple room is darshan happening. Meru. We're seeing Meru taking darshan of Meru. Don't be a dog chasing your tail. Thank you, Mike. I won't, I promise. That'll be my New Year's resolution.
Yeah, that's a scary thought, to be a dog just chasing tails. Oh, Jai Prabhupada.
Would someone move the iPad to the altar?
Jai, Jai. Lotus feet of us, Master, pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet, great honor and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean to your suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. I only wish to have my consciousness purified, for its emanating lotus path. Attachment to his lotus feet is perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my dark eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. And ecstatic prayer emanates, my image is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master, the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor, Lord and master devotees, own master, be merciful on us. Give us the shade and let us feed Srila Prabhupada, P. John.
Thank you very much, Temple Room. Arjuna Prabhu was reciting the prayers with so much conviction, so much faith in Srila Prabhupada. Jai Arjuna Prabhu. Okay, welcome to the Afterglow. Lila Devi, you have a few minutes to stay over time with us in case somebody has a question.
Yes, I'd love to hang out with you guys.
Thank you, Lila. Okay, dear devotees, would you like to speak? It was a very urgent class, very urgent.
I have a question. Hare
Then,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Wait, hang on a second. I'm upside down. There we go. Chasing my own tail here. I so appreciate your classes. I just want to say that I can tell that you're nervous at the beginning of them, but I just want you to know that you do so beautifully, and we just love your classes. I know a lot of people do. So I just wanted to share that with you. But yeah, I know this class wasn't about time management exactly, but I'm curious, like, are there things that you've learned over the years for how to prioritize your devotional life and make sure it gets the time it needs given the sort of voraciousness of the demands of material world and Maya, and like anything you can share in that regard for how you kind of taking this realization of the preciousness of time, and we don't know how much is left for us, what works. And I think it's especially timely around New Year's. A lot of us make resolutions around these types of things, but then they don't stick. Is there anything that has stuck in your life for putting your priorities where they should be?
Yeah, thank you, Venu Madhuri. Um, I'm nervous in this material world in general.
Well, that's wise.
I'm just nervous all the time here. Thank you. That's a wonderful question. Yeah, I think it's important to reflect on these things. Thank you for bringing that up because sometimes we don't realize what's needed or how far we've come. And one of the things that has worked for me is help. I need help by either friends or our family, our association, like someone like for example, this class is here every single day. That kind of help, that support, that we're all doing this,
Mm,
rather than people taking us to, oh, let's go, whatever, to the movies or something else,
mhm,
or let's do something else. So I personally need that support. But one of the things that this year in particular helped me with was um, a sort of journaling in regards to what I'm doing
mm,
and actually tracking the systems that I'm trying to build around my life. And so just checking off every day, did I have a little morning program? Yes, checking it off. And then you start to, when you quantify, you start to see, oh, I've done this, every single day for this many months. And it just you get encouragement that way. And Prabhupada did that. He loved to his disciples to quantify things like how many temples, how many new devotees do we have, how many books have
mhm,
we distributed, and so quantifying, because what happens, life moves so fast. I forget. I forget that I even did that good thing over there. And then in my mind, all I'm thinking is like, oh my God, I'm so rotten. I can't do this. I can't do that. But I actually forgot that I did do that this day. I did read this verse. So quantifying is really helpful in whatever way works for someone, whether it's a journal or, on your phone or something, but just something we can look back at and say, wow, yeah, I've done that. The other thing that helped me quantify was making appropriate adjustments. And so, I love morning program and I need it. It like sets me up for the rest of the day, but a really long, extended morning program for people, for most people, if they're working or this or that or family, you can't do it. It doesn't, then you get discouraged. Like, I don't have time to do this. Um, so if we're not so fortunate as to have long times, just make the adjustments. And I made the adjustment of I'm doing these prayers, this is how long it takes, and then reading, even if it's just one verse, two verses. And I was shocked, surprised how um, even a very short program, the prayers and, offering pranams and the Maha Mantra, and then just a short verse, it can be done super fast. And one thing I noticed around time, and I learned this from doing it, sometimes I have to do it faster than other times, but it's not about how long I do it. It's about how much can I put my attention into this song right now. So it's not the quantity of minutes, it's the quality of my attention, and then that becomes the practice. So that really helped me a lot this year, and it helped me be encouraged, like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing it. It's happening every single day. And then slowly but surely I can add to it. And Krishna somehow expands time. And then you can fit in more things than you originally thought. And like, wow, I actually got all this done. So he helps us. He really does support us. Yes, time destroys everything, but he also can use time for us. Like, yeah, you can fit all these things because he sees the endeavor. So, yeah, thank you for asking. Quantifying and adjusting appropriately.
Thank you. Super helpful, wonderful answer.
Yeah, thank you.
Krishna.
Thank you. Devaki Priti.
Thank you, Lila Devi, for that answer. I also am always trying to see how I cannot waste time. I appreciate what you shared, and I love what you shared at the end because I've also seen that too. When Guru and Krishna see that you're trying, you're trying to make an effort to use your time better. You're trying to see how can I fit more hearing and chanting into my life. They do help you because they just want us to do the best they can, and they're so happy by our efforts. So I just love that last point because I've seen that with myself too. That when I make a little endeavor, Guru and Krishna, like, here you go. How about this? Or, maybe a devotee will tell you something. You're like, oh, thank you. I need to hear that. And you know it's that Guru and Krishna are seeing your efforts. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's wonderful how that relationship. He wants to support us, you know. He wants us to be devotional service is meant to be joyful. And he really wants that. And I think it's important for us to remember that and be reminded of that. He wants us to be happy, not stressed out and anxious. And one of the things too, it's a balance, right? This is urgent, it's important. At the same time, Prabhupada said this all the time. This is a long game. We're in it. This is not just this one lifetime. And we don't know how many lifetimes we've been trying to work on this to get here and how many we have to go. There's one life, one eternal forever life. We take this seriously. We don't die. I think we can lose a little bit of like the anxiety of like, gotta get it done right now. There's nowhere else to go but back to Godhead. Like, where else are we gonna go? Once we've surrendered, he's got it under control, and he's like, even if it takes 100 lifetimes, okay, at least we're on the path. Um, but for me, it's been helpful to remember there's just one life. I can just relax because when we're relaxed, we can actually perform devotional service. If I'm in anxiety and I'm fearful, it's not going to come out right. It's going to be weird and maybe not from the right place in the heart. And so that balance of like, yeah, this is really, really important. My time is valuable. And yet, um, we're in this for the long run. Like this is, what is one lifetime when we've been floating around material universe for who knows how many. And I'm not saying, what is one lifetime in a sense of let's waste it. I'm saying this is a long, long game. Yeah, go ahead, David Kifriti.
When you said that, I was just thinking, so Krishna is time, but we want to walk in faith in Krishna as time rather in fear of Krishna as time.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. I like that because I'm always anxious about time. Like, there's no time, there's no time. Yeah, I like that to walk with Krishna in faith rather than in fear. Yeah, even because yeah, it's his energy and he can use it however he wants. So, yeah, that balance. I like that. I'm gonna write that down. Walking faith rather than walking fear. Thank you.
Thank you. Such a great Q&A session. I once asked Ganesham Prabhu, I complained to Ganesham Prabhu, our dear friend. I said, Ganesham Prabhu, I want to do this and that in devotional service, and I want to write a book, and I want to do this and that, but I just don't have the time. I don't seem to have the time for all those wonderful things. And he said, no, 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 Prabhu. When he says something serious, he calls me Prabhu. I said, no, 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 Prabhu, you always find time for the things that you want. It's not an excuse. Somehow or other, you find time to eat every day. You find the time to take a nap. You find the time to watch a movie. You find time for those things. So in the same way, get your priorities right. And the time is not a problem. That's not the excuse that you don't have the time. We all have the time, equal amount. We just have to or set our priorities right. Like
Yeah, I
Lila did.
love that. That's wonderful. Put first things first.
Yeah. Vaisheshika Prabhu was very big on that. Just make the main thing keep the main thing the main thing, and everything will fall into place. Time, including time.
Beautiful.
Okay, so With this, we're going to turn the floor over to Isaiah, Annabelle, and Sage. And we want them to recite the Maha Mantra as loud as they can. Please.
Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you. Thank you. That was super sweet. I felt like I was beyond time when you were chanting. Thank you, Sage.
Thank
Thank you,
you. Thank
Isaiah.
you.
Thank you, Annabelle. Thank you, Lila DD. Thank you, wonderful class. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad
Yes.
Bhagavatam ki jai. New Year's
Yes.
resolutions ki jai. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.